طيب بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسوله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So alhamdulillah, continuing with the uh, Kitaab al-Siyaam, so from book of fasting, min Kitaab al-Fiqh al-Muyassar, from the book Fiqh made easy fi daw al-Kitab al-Sunnah, in the light of the Kitab al-Sunnah. We reached chapter 2. So alhamdulillah, this is our third lesson, so you should be able to see the previous lessons on Telegram inshallah. So we begin Bismillah. Al-Bab al-Thani, the second chapter. في الأعذار المبيحة للفطر ومفطرات الصائم. So in this chapter heading we're saying the excuses that make it permissible to break or not fast, and the things that break or invalidate the fasting person's fast. وفيها مسألتان, so there's two issues connected to this. So the first one, المسألة الأولى, we'll talk the first one. We say الأعذار المبيحة للفطر في رمضان. So the excuses that permit someone not to fast in the month of Ramadan. So it's mentioned يباح الفطر في رمضان لأحد الأعذار التالية. So it is permitted for someone not to fast the month of Ramadan for one of the following excuses. الأول المرض والكبر. So the first being sickness and old age. فيجوز للمريض الذي يرجى بره الفطر. So it is permissible for the sick person who is hoped for that that he will regain health or he will be cured, that for him to not fast. So for example, you come under the weather, you got a flu, you got COVID, you got something else, it's a temporary illness. It's permissible for you to miss those days that you are ill. فإذا برع وجب عليه القضاء الأيام التي أفطرها. So if when he becomes better, it's obligatory upon him to make up the days that he missed. The days that he missed and didn't fast, he's got to count. Was it 3 days? Was it 1 day? Was it 10 days? You got to make that up after Ramadan. لقوله تعالى, according to the speech of Allah the Most High. And we mentioned these ayahs previously, so we mention them again, which is, if you read, أيام معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر. So which is, so it was mentioned أيام معدودات. Let's just check that. So basically, the number of days. So whoever is sick or traveling, then he has to make those days, make up those days in another time. Yeah. So من كان مريضا وعلى سفر فعدة أيام أخر. So which basically means he must observe fast month of Ramadan. Whoever is ill or on a journey, the same number of days which one did not fast must be made up from other days. And then the other ayah, so that is Surah Baqarah, verse 184. Then the other ayah, وقوله تعالى, and the speech, and according to the speech of Allah the Most High, فمن شهد منكم فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصمه ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر. So this is the second ayah, which is, so whoever of you, sights basically the moon and is able to see that is the month of Ramadan, then he has to fast, and whoever is sick or traveling, then he has to make up the days from other days. Yeah, so he has to make up the days. So that is a proof that the one who's ill and also coming in that old age, not able to fast, he has to make up and his excuse from fasting. So then the Sheikh he says, والمرض الذي يرخص معه في الفطر هو المرض الذي يشق على المريض الصيام بسببه. So he mentions that the sickness which permits the person not to fast in the month of Ramadan is the sickness which will cause difficulty upon the sick person if he was to fast. You know, it would cause him a lot of difficulty. So أما المريض الذي لا يرجى برؤه, as for the sick person that is not hope that is, it's not expected that he will get better, or العاجز عن الصيام عجزا مستمرا كالكبير, or a person who's unable to fast, like the one who has the incapability to fast, that is, something like old age or illness that is continuous. Maybe he's diabetic, he needs to take an insulin shot every time so he can't fast, and there's no way he's going to get better. فإنه يفطر. So that person, he doesn't fast. ولا يجب عليه قضاء, and it's not upon him to make up the fast because he's got a continuous illness or he's old, yeah, and he can't fast. وإنما تلزمه فدية. So rather what is obligated upon him is to pay the fidya. So that's the amount that you need to pay to feed a person for each day you missed. بأن يطعم عن كل يوم مسكينا, that he feeds a person for every day, a poor person for every day that he misses. So important here, the poor person. So as one of the brothers was mentioning, a benefit is that some people, they'll pay the masjid X amount of money for the fast that they missed and feeding all of them, and they think that they fulfill their duty of paying the fidya. But no, how many of the people in the masjid will be classified as poor? Majority will probably not be. So maybe if there's 2 or 3 people, you got to make up all the other days. If there's 30 days in the month, then you got to make up another 27 people that you need to feed. So yeah, it's important that it's someone poor. لأن الله عز وجل جعل الإطعام معادلا للصيام حين كان التخيير بينهما في أول ما فرض الصيام. So because Allah the Most High, He made fasting equal to no, feeding equal to fasting. So feeding the poor equal to the fasting, whereby in the past there was a choice between them. In the beginning, when fasting became obligated upon the Muslims. So in the beginning, when at that time you could either fast or you could feed the poor. So that was in the beginning. فتعين أن يكون بدلا عنه عند العذر. So then, it was appointed by Allah or assigned or made obligatory uh, that feeding the poor uh, be in the place of fasting for now, when only fasting is accepted. So now when only fasting is accepted, if you have an excuse, we're going through, which is sickness or old age or any of the other excuses, then what you do is you feed a poor person for each day you miss. يقول الإمام البخاري رحمه الله, Imam Bukhari said, may Allah mercy upon him, وأما الشيخ القبير إذا لم يطق صيام. So as for a man who's old in age and he doesn't have the ability to fast, فقد أتم عنس فقد أتم عنس بعدما كبر عاما وعامين عن كل يوم مسكينا. And then he took from Anas bin Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, radiallahu anhu, one of the companions, that indeed when he became old, he fed people for every day that he poor people for every day that he missed from fasting, and that was for a year or two. So the last year or two of his life, he didn't fast for Ramadan because of his old age, and therefore he fed. And obviously, we take the understanding of the Sahaba because they're the best people after the prophets and messengers, and they knew the deen better than anyone. Yeah. So so that was Anas bin Malik. That he would feed the people, poor people, in the last year or two of his life for every day he missed. وقال ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما في الشيخ الكبير والمرأة الكبيرة لا يستطيعان أن يصوما فليطعما مكان كل يوم مسكينا. So Ibn Abbas, again, the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ, and a companion, may Allah have mercy upon both of him and his father, he mentioned that when a man reaches old age and a woman reaches old age and they are not able to fast, then upon them is to feed, in place of the fasting, they feed a poor person for each day that they missed. So this again is a ruling from the companions, radiallahu anhu. So we follow that. فيطعم العاجز عن الصيام عجزا لا يرجى زواله. Yeah. So a person who's unable to fast, he and it's not hoped that his reason, whether it's a sickness will go away, then it's بمرض كان أو كبر, either because of a sickness or old age. عن كل يوم مسكين نفسا من بر أو تمر أو أرز أو نحوها من قوت البلد. So then, if a person, was unable because of old age or sickness to fast, then for every day that he misses, he needs to feed a poor person half a sa'a. So sa'a, as mentioned, is a measurement from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and we need to know these measurements. So it's like two handfuls, yeah, handfuls, and it's basically, we're going to give the exact measurements here. So it's of either wheat or dates or rice or other staples like that from the foods of the land. So the foods that are able easily stored, like lentils, might be beans, might be chickpeas, or might be food, or might be um, couscous, or whatever people are used to, spaghetti or whatever, pasta, whatever people in that land eat. So, uh, so he gives half a sa'a from the food of the people in that land. ومقدار ساعة كيلوان وربع تقريبا. So the approximate, amount of the sa'a in the today's measurements is 2.25 kilograms. So 2.25 kilograms is the weight of sa'a. So half of it, فيكون الإطعام من كل يوم كيلوغرام و125 جراما. So half of that, so from feeding the poor person will be what? 1 kilogram, 0.125 grams. Yeah. So 1.125 kilograms is what you're feeding the poor person. So it could be food that the people are used to. هذا وإن سام المريض صح صيامه وأجزعه. So this is obviously the case if he's unable to fast. But if the sick person does fast and he pushes himself, then his fast is accepted. Yeah, it's correct, and he is rewarded for it. But if he can't, then yeah, this is permitted for him to not fast and to feed the people. So that was uh, the first of the excuses that are permitted to not to fast in the month of Ramadan. The second is safar, as-safar, traveling. So فيباه للمسافر الفطر في رمضان. So it's permissible for the one who's traveling to not fast in the month of Ramadan. ويجب عليه القضاء لقوله تعالى, and it's obligatory upon him to make up the fast in all the days from the ayahs that we mentioned previously. فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر. So whoever from you is sick or traveling, then he has to make you up in all the days of translation. وقوله تعالى, the speech of the Most High, فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصمه ومن كان مريضا وعلى سفر فعدة من أيام أخر. So again, the translation of the meaning is, so whoever you witnesses, the hilal, then upon him of the month of Ramadan, so then upon him to fast, and whoever amongst the people is sick or traveling, then he has to make up the days that he missed from the other days after Ramadan. So that is both Surah Baqarah 184 and 5. وَلِقَوْلِهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم, and from according to the speech of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم in a hadith, لمن سأله عن الصيام في سفر. So for the one who asked the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم about fasting when he's traveling. So he said, إن شئت فصم وإن شئت فأفطر. So the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, if you desire, you can fast, and if you desire or wish, then you can what? Not fast. And that is again the hadith is let's just check that 16. Let's just check that there from the margin here. Yeah, so it's Sahih Bukhari. Yeah, so it's an authentic hadith. وخرج إلى مكة. So the Prophet ﷺ left to go to Mecca صائما في Ramadan. So you went out to Mecca from Medina, heading towards Mecca, and he was fasting in the month of Ramadan. فلما بلغ, when he reached Al-Kadid. So Kadid was a place. He أفطر فأفطر الناس. So when he reached Kadid, a place, so obviously it wasn't the time to break the fast, but he broke the fast because of the hardship. So all the people who were with him, also the Sahaba, broke the fast. So showing that it's permissible to break the fast or not fast when traveling. And the hadith again is in Bukhari. So it's Sahih hadith. ويباه الفطر في السفر الطويل الذي يباه فيه قصر الصلاة. So and it's also permitted to not fast when traveling a long distance, like it is permissible to shorten the prayer. So whatever necessitates that you can shorten the prayer also necessitates that you don't need to fast. So that is from uh, you know so then yeah, he said وهو ما يقدر ب48 ميلا أي حوالي 80 كيلومتر. So this is from the fiqh aspect, that whatever, so that's basically approximately amounts to uh, you know um, 48 miles or around 80 kilometers. So if you're traveling that much distance or more, then that's considered traveling, and then you don't need to fast. Or if you do fast, alhamdulillah, it's accepted and you're rewarded for it. But you don't need to fast if you're traveling. Yeah. والسفر المبيح للفطر في رمضان هو السفر المباح. So the traveling that is permissible and is accepted for you not to fast in the month of Ramadan is a travel, acceptable travel, meaning for an acceptable reason. Yeah. فإن كان فإن كان السفر معصية أو سفرا يراد به التحايل على الفطر لم يبه له الفطر بهذا السفر. So if the reason for traveling is, an act of disobedience, so a person is traveling and he's just traveling for whatever's disobedient, music concert, attending a football, match, whatever, that will take him away from obedience of Allah, uh, or he then or travels as a form of trickery, as a form of trickery, meaning he's just traveling as a way to get out of fasting. So like, oh man, I don't want to fast. Okay, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna travel. So if I'm living in the UK, I'm traveling from Bradford or Leeds, go to Birmingham, so that way I won't need to fast. It's not acceptable reason, and it's not permitted for him to break the fast with these journeys. These impermissible journeys. وإن سام المسافر صح صومه وأجزه. So if a person who's traveling, he does fast, then his fasting is correct and he's rewarded for it. لحديث أنس رضي الله عنه, according to hadith of Anas bin Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, كنا نسافر مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فلم يعب الصائم على المفطر ولا المفطر على الصائم. So Anas bin Malik mentioned that we used to travel with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. So we did not, so the fasting person did not criticize the person who was not fasting. And the person who was not fasting didn't criticize the one who was fasting while traveling. So this is proof that you can fast as well. Yeah, and that is in Bukhari as well. ولكن بشرط أن لا يشق عليه الصوم في سفر, with the condition that the fasting doesn't become difficult upon the person when he's traveling. Yeah. فإن شق عليه أو أضر به فالفطر في حقه أفضل. But if it becomes difficult for him or if it harms him that he's fasting, then breaking the fast or not fasting in his right is better for him. أخذا برخصة, by taking the رخصة, yeah, this leeway that Allah has given, yeah. So taking this is better for you, the person. لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رأى في السفر رجل صائما قد ذلل عليه من شدة الحر وتجمع الناس حوله فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم ليس من البر الصيام في السفر. So that's according to the hadith of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, that in one of the travels, one of the journeys, uh, there was a person, the Prophet saw a man from the companions who was fasting, and he was he was seeking shade in the tree, and because of the severeness of the heat, and the people, the other Sahaba gathered around him to give him shade. Yeah, so he wasn't feeling well. So the Prophet said, it is not from righteousness to fast while you're traveling. Yeah, so that is another hadith showing that if it's difficult for you, then you shouldn't be fasting and take the rukhsa. Yeah, so take that as a way. So then that's 21, and that is again narrated by Bukhari. So it's Sahih hadith. So 20 was, yeah, Bukhari again. So that was the second one. So fasting for the sick person and the old age, they don't need to do that, and they need to pay the fidya, feed a person. While the one who's traveling, he has to make up the days. He has to make the days up. Yeah. So yeah, and then the sick person, he has to make the days up. But if a person he's sick with an illness that will be consecutive, like diabetes or somebody he needs to take the shot and stuff, or his old age, then they don't need to make the days up. Rather, they need to feed a person for each day he's missed. Then we go on to the third one, which is الثالث الحيض والنفاس, which is the other reason for not fasting would be menstruation for the woman, and also postpartum bleeding, which is when the woman gives birth after that. So فالمرأة التي أتاها الحيض أو النفاس تفطر في رمضان وجوبا. So a woman, either she's menstruation has come to her, it's that time of the month for her, or she's given birth and she's got postpartum bleeding, then she does not fast, and it's obligatory that she doesn't fast. وَيَحْرُمُ عَلَيْهَا الصَّوْمُ, and it's haram for her to fast. She can't just say, oh no, I feel like it, I'm going to fast. No, haram for her to fast. وَلَوْ صَامَتْ لَمْ يَصِحَّ مِنْهَا, and if she were to fast, it won't be accepted from her, and it's not correct. لحديث أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال, according to the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, أليس إذا حاضت لم تصلي ولم تصم فذلك من نقصان دينها. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, is it not so that when a woman, she menstruates, that she doesn't pray and she doesn't fast, and that is from her deficiency in her religion. And again, that is from Bukhari, Sahih Hadith. So وَيَجِبُ عَلَيْهِمَا الْقَضَاء, so it's obligatory upon them, the one who menstruates and the one who has postpartum bleeding, to make up the days that she doesn't fast, that she's experiencing that. وَلِقَوْلِهِ عَائِشَةَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمَا, and according to the speech of Aisha, the mother of believers, may Allah be pleased with her, كَانَ يُصِيبُنَا ذَلِكَ فَنُؤْمَرُ بِقَضَاءِ الصَّوْمِ وَلَا نُؤْمَرُ بِقَضَاءِ الصَّلَاةِ, that we used to be afflicted by this, meaning menstruation and postpartum bleeding, and we were commanded with making up the fast after Ramadan, and we weren't commanded with making up the prayer. Yeah, so a woman doesn't make up the prayer for when she menstruates or postpartum bleeding, but she does make up the fast. And again, that is by Muslim. So it's mentioned in Sahih Muslim, Sahih Hadith. So a woman who's menstruating or she's postpartum bleeding, they have to make up the fast that they missed. The fourth one, الرابع الحمل والرضاء والرداء. Both of them are correct. So the one who's pregnant or the breastfeeding woman. So it's not obligatory upon them to fast. So they can not fast in month of Ramadan. فالمرأة إذا كانت حاملا أو مرضعا وخافت على نفسها أو ولدها بسبب الصوم جاز لها الفطر. So a woman, if she's pregnant or she's breastfeeding and she fears for herself, or upon if she's pregnant upon the fetus or the child, or if she's breastfeeding the baby, then it's permissible for her to not fast. لما رواه أنس رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, according to what Anas narrated, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Prophet said, إن الله وضع عن المسافر شطر الصلاة والصوم وأن الهبل والمرضع الصوم. So that indeed Allah, He in the discharge or waived, indeed Allah waived for the one who is traveling. Yeah, He waived for the one who is traveling some part of the salah and the fast, a portion of the salah and the fast, and from the pregnant woman and the breastfeeding, the fast, that they don't have to fast. So that hadith again is mentioned here, and it comes as رواه الترمذي وحسنه والنسائي and Ibn Majah وحسنه الباني صحيح Sunan al-Nisa'i. So Sheikh Al-Bani classed that as Sahih in Sunan al-Nisa'i, so it's Sahih Hadith. وتقضي الحامل والمرضع مكان الأيام التي أفطرتها. So, and she makes up the pregnant woman and the breastfeeding woman, she makes up the fast in place of the days that she didn't fast. So both of them make up the days that they didn't fast, counts them. She missed 10, 15 days, she'll have to make up those days after Ramadan. وَذَلِكَ إِنْ خَافَتَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِمَا. So that she has to make up the fast If a pregnant woman, she fears for herself, not the baby, then because she's weak, the baby's taking all the nutrition, or the breastfeeding woman, she fears that she's not, for herself, she's weak, but the baby's okay. Then she just has to make up what the fast, the day that she missed. آه، فإن خافت الحامل مع ذلك على جنينها أو المرضي على رضيئها أدعمت مع القضاء عن كل يوم مسكينا. So as for the woman, if she fears, it's a pregnant woman, she fears for the fetus, the baby, or the breastfeeding woman upon the baby, she fears for the baby, she would feed she would feed for every day a poor person as well as make up on the fast. So this is both. Yeah. لقول ابن Abbas, and this is the fatwa of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with رضي الله عنه, والمرضع والحبلى إذا خافتا على أولادهما أفطرتا وأطعمتا. So if the breastfeeding woman or the pregnant woman fears uh, upon her child, then she what? She doesn't fast, and she uh, feeds, yeah, and she makes up as well, yeah. So that is both of them. She makes up the day and she fasts, and that is mentioned. Abu Dawood and Sheikh Albani authenticate that as well. Um, so that is the fatwa of Ibn Abbas. So alhamdulillah, we accept that. Um, as you know, we take from the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, and At-Tabi'een, the Salaf Salih, their rulings. So فتلخص من ذلك أن الأسباب المبيحة للفطر أربعة. So to summarize, in this context, the reasons permissible for not fasting are four in Ramadan: travel, sickness, old age comes into that, menstruation, haid, postpartum bleeding, and khawf and al-halak, fear of being destroyed or destruction or coming, like the pregnant woman and the breastfeeding one upon the child, كما في الحامل والمرضعة. Inshallah we stop there. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.